Listen closely, because most people won't hear this, not because it's hidden, but because they're too distracted to notice. There is a trap keeping 90% of people poor, and today, right now, you're going to see it clearly, maybe for the first time, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Listen closely, because most people won't hear this, not because it's hidden, but because they're too distracted to notice. Every morning, millions wake up to alarms that don't care about their dreams. They roll out of bed, brush their teeth, pour their coffee, and step into routines that were designed for someone else. This is the first layer of the trap, living on autopilot. You move through life as if your days were pre-written, as if your time and energy belonged to a script you didn't approve. And somewhere in the quiet of that routine, your potential begins to shrink, like a fire starved of oxygen. Most people think that routine is safety. They tell themselves that consistency will protect them, that following the rules will eventually lead to success. But here's the truth. Comfort is a velvet cage. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It gives just enough pleasure to keep you from fighting for more, just enough security to make you feel like you're moving forward, while the clock steals your life. The very habits you call stability are the invisible bars that prevent extraordinary living. You are trading the thrill of creation, the challenge of growth, and the joy of true freedom for a life that feels secure, but is quietly mediocre. And it's not just routines, it's the unthinking acceptance of other people's agendas. Most people live someone else's dream without even realizing it. Society, family, and peers fill your head with what you should do, what degree to get, what job to chase, what lifestyle to emulate. And in obeying these unspoken rules, people think they're responsible, disciplined, and smart. In reality, they are trapped. They are moving forward, but in the wrong direction, toward a future that wasn't designed for them. This is why wealth, happiness, and true fulfillment remain elusive for so many. The path is visible, but the destination belongs to someone else. Wake up to the reality that most people's lives are driven by obligation, not desire. They wake up to work that drains them, spend hours doing things that don't matter, and go home only to recharge for another day in the same cycle. They measure success by how well they fit in, not by how far they can push out. Meanwhile, the small percentage of people who escape this trap, who achieve financial freedom, who live lives of impact, have one thing in common. They refuse to follow a script they didn't write. They question, they challenge, they disrupt. They recognize that every minute spent on autopilot is a minute of life surrendered to mediocrity. The dangerous part is that the trap is invisible until it isn't. Years can pass, decades even, and you can still believe you're on track. You're doing everything right, studying, working hard, paying bills, following the rules, yet the life you dream of never arrives. Why? Because following the expected path rewards obedience, not excellence. It rewards compliance, not creativity. It rewards presence, not contribution. You can't outgrow this trap by simply being busy. You outgrow it by being conscious, by waking up to every decision, every habit, every routine, and asking, does this serve my highest self? Escaping this trap requires courage. It requires a relentless self-awareness and the willingness to confront the uncomfortable truth your life has been mostly handed to you, piece by piece, and much of it doesn't belong to you. Breaking free means redesigning your days, questioning every assumption, and stepping into the discomfort of intentional living. It means refusing to allow convenience to dictate your destiny. And it begins with a single radical act: awareness. When you see that the routine you've called safety is actually a cage, you can choose to unlock it. You can step out into a life built on your terms, not the world's terms. And that is the first step toward freedom, wealth, and the extraordinary life that most people never even imagine. The trap of automatic living is the silent thief of dreams, but awareness is the key that shatters it. Today, choose to wake up. Today, choose to live deliberately. Today, step out of the cage and reclaim the life that was always meant to be yours. People spend their lives waiting, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the ideal conditions, waiting for a sign that everything is aligned. They tell themselves, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start next month, I'll start when things calm down. And in those quiet moments of procrastination, their dreams begin to die. Waiting becomes a habit, a comfortable illusion of control. The cruel irony is that life never pauses for anyone. The perfect moment, the flawless timing, the calm before the storm, it doesn't exist. Those who wait are standing still while life moves forward without them, leaving their dreams in the dust. The trap of delayed dreams is not external, it's internal. It's a voice in your head that tells you to be patient, to plan a little longer, to gather enough resources before taking action. It whispers that there will be a better day to start, a safer time to leap, a wiser moment to risk. But every day that passes is a day your potential is squandered. Opportunities aren't stored in a bank of later. They exist only in the now, waiting for someone bold enough to seize them. Those who achieve greatness are not more talented, smarter, or luckier. They are willing to start before they feel ready. Every excuse to delay is a subtle betrayal of your own future. People rationalize in endless circles. I'm too young. I'm too inexperienced. I need more knowledge. But here's the truth, you will never feel fully ready. Fear will always whisper that you need one more skill, one more connection, one more piece of confidence. And if you wait for perfection, you will spend a lifetime as a spectator to your own potential. The world doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards action. It rewards those who move forward despite uncertainty, who embrace risk with courage, and who refuse to allow fear to dictate the terms of their lives. The tragedy is that delayed dreams compound over time. One missed opportunity becomes 2, then 3, until suddenly decades have passed. People look back and ask themselves, where did it go? Why didn't I take that chance? Why didn't I follow that dream? And the answer is always the same. They were waiting for life to hand them the perfect circumstances instead of creating them. The truth is, life will never give you what you want. You must claim it. You must act. You must start today, not next week, not next year, not when the timing is right. Because timing is a myth. Action is real. Those who escape this trap understand a simple principle. Progress is born from imperfect action, not perfect plans. The wealthy, the fulfilled, the extraordinary, they move forward with the tools they have, learning, adapting, and growing as they go. They understand that mistakes, failures, and missteps are not signs that they should stop. They are proof that they are alive, daring, and on the path to greatness. Waiting, on the other hand, teaches nothing except regret. Waiting ensures that your dreams grow stale and that your potential fades under the weight of inertia. Action, however messy or uncertain, creates momentum. Momentum creates opportunities. And opportunities create the life most people never experience. Breaking free from this trap demands courage. The courage to start before you feel ready. The courage to risk failure in pursuit of growth. The courage to defy the comfortable voices of doubt. It requires refusing to let fear dictate your schedule and embracing the uncomfortable truth that your life is happening right now, with or without your consent. Every moment you delay is a choice. The choice to remain average, the choice to shrink, the choice to let your dreams slip quietly into the past. The extraordinary life doesn't wait, and neither should you. You must act. You must leap. You must start now. The trap of delayed dreams is silent but deadly, but the power to break free is yours. Start today. Start imperfectly. Start boldly. Start relentlessly. Start before you feel ready and watch your life transform into the extraordinary journey you were always meant to live. People have been trained to measure their worth by the applause of others. From a young age, approval becomes a currency. A like, a comment, a compliment, a nod of recognition. And slowly, silently, this craving begins to shape the way they live. They shrink to fit expectations. They mute their voice to avoid conflict. They abandon ambition so they won't feel too much. They chase validation because it is visible, tangible, and temporarily satisfying. Yet in doing so, they trade their power for fleeting praise, settling for recognition instead of impact, and approval instead of purpose. The trap of cheap validation is subtle because it feels good. It feels like love. It feels like success. People confuse attention with achievement and applause with authority. They wear masks to please friends, colleagues, and strangers. They adjust their dreams to match the comfort levels of others. They define themselves not by their courage or their creativity, but by how well they fit in, how well they are liked. And slowly, ambition dies, potential suffocates. The life they were capable of living is exchanged for the illusion of acceptance. Many live their entire lives in this trap without realizing it. They check their phones for messages, scroll endlessly through feeds, and compare themselves to curated snapshots of other people's lives. Every like feels like a small victory. Every comment feels like a stamp of worth. But this pursuit is hollow, addictive, and dangerous. Approval is finite, fleeting, and controlled by others, meaning your value is now dependent on forces outside your control. The more you seek it, the smaller and less authentic you become. The trap is invisible, but the consequences are devastating. A life lived for others, while your own potential quietly slips away. The wealthy, the successful, the people who leave a mark on the world, they operate on a completely different metric. Their worth is internal. Their energy is invested in creating, producing, innovating, and contributing. They don't ask for permission. They don't need applause to validate their choices. They act because their vision is bigger than their fear. They measure themselves by the results they generate, the lives they impact, and the standards they set for themselves. And in doing so, they escape the quiet prison of public approval, stepping into a life of genuine power, influence, and fulfillment. Escaping this trap requires courage, the courage to risk criticism, the courage to be misunderstood, the courage to shine even when others are uncomfortable. It requires refusing to perform for attention and choosing instead to create for impact. You must stop seeking permission to exist fully, to chase your ambition, and to embrace your calling. Every moment spent performing for validation is a moment stolen from your potential. The louder the world applauds, the smaller you shrink. The less attention you crave, the more you grow. This is counterintuitive, but it is the truth. True power lies not in being liked, it lies in being unstoppable. Breaking free from the trap of cheap validation is transformative. Once you stop living to be seen, you begin to live to create. Once you stop measuring yourself against external standards, you begin to measure yourself against your own vision. Once you stop shrinking to make others comfortable, you expand into your full potential. Life rewards those who refuse to perform and instead choose to become. You will face resistance, doubt, and judgment, but these are signs you are on the right path. Validation will never set you free. Creation will, impact will, vision will. And in that space, you will finally live a life that is truly yours. The trap of cheap validation enslaves silently, but the key to freedom lies within. Stop performing, stop seeking approval. Start creating, start impacting, start living for your own vision, and watch the life you were destined for unfold before you. Most people are not held back by their circumstances. They are held back by the story they tell themselves. From the moment we are born, society, culture, and environment begin to write a narrative over our lives. You are this, you are not that. People like you don't achieve that. Slowly, the words we hear become the words we believe. And the moment we internalize those limitations, they become invisible walls. We stop trying, stop dreaming, and stop believing that we are capable of more. The trap of limited identity is silent, yet it is one of the most destructive forces keeping people poor, unfulfilled, and stuck. This trap is dangerous because it is disguised as truth. You tell yourself, I'm not smart enough, or I don't have the connections, or this isn't meant for people like me. And with each repetition, your mind accepts it as fact. You unconsciously shrink your ambitions to fit within the narrow confines of that identity. You reject opportunities that could change your life because they feel too big, too risky, too far outside the version of yourself that you have been conditioned to accept. In doing so, you are not protecting yourself. You are imprisoning yourself. The world reinforces these limits in subtle ways. People are rewarded for conformity and punished for boldness. Teachers, bosses, friends, even family sometimes unconsciously tell you who you can and cannot become. You start to play it safe, to fit expectations, to blend into a life that feels manageable but never extraordinary. And slowly, without noticing, your true potential shrinks behind the walls of a story you did not choose. Every day spent living inside this story is a day spent living beneath your capabilities, settling for what is easy instead of reaching for what is possible. Breaking free requires an unflinching examination of the story you have been told about yourself. You must ask the hard questions. Which of these beliefs are truly mine? Which have been handed to me by others? Which are lies I've accepted as truth? When you confront these beliefs honestly, you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to realize that identity is not fixed. It is fluid, malleable, and shaped by your actions, choices, and mindset. The person you were told you are is not the person you have to remain. Every action you take outside your comfort zone, every risk you embrace, every new skill you acquire reshapes the narrative, expands the boundaries of your potential, and dismantles the cage of limited identity. Those who escape this trap understand one key principle: identity is created through action, not belief alone. They don't wait to feel capable before they act. They act to become capable. They don't wait to feel confident. They move forward, and confidence follows. They don't wait for permission. They seize it. The wealthy, the fulfilled, the extraordinary do not define themselves by limitations imposed from the outside. They define themselves by the vision inside, the potential they see when no one else does. They write their own stories, and in doing so, they redefine what is possible for their lives. Escaping the trap of limited identity is not easy. It is uncomfortable. It challenges everything you have believed about yourself. It demands courage, persistence, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. But it is transformative. Once you recognize that your identity is not a limitation but a choice, everything changes. You begin to act boldly, dream bigger, and take risks that once seemed impossible. You stop shrinking to fit into a world that underestimates you. You begin to expand, to grow, to create a life that reflects your true potential, not the expectations of others. The trap of limited identity is invisible but powerful. But freedom lies in rewriting your story. Claim your power, expand your boundaries, step boldly into the person you were always meant to become, and watch the life of possibility unfold around you. Most people spend their lives consuming. They scroll, they watch, they listen, they observe. They fill their minds with the experiences of others while ignoring their own potential to create. Every social media scroll, every binge watch session, every moment spent absorbing the lives, successes, and highlights of others is a moment stolen from their own growth. Consuming is comfortable, it's easy, it's familiar. But it is also the quiet prison that keeps ordinary people exactly where they are, watching others live the life they dream of, while their own ambitions gather dust. The trap of consumption is dangerous because it masquerades as learning. People convince themselves that by watching, reading, or observing, they are preparing for greatness. They absorb knowledge, but never act on it. They take notes, but never apply them. They study other people's success stories, but never start their own. Knowledge without action is meaningless. The more time you spend consuming without creating, the smaller your world becomes. You are taking in endless inspiration while giving nothing back to yourself or to the world. The life of impact, wealth, and fulfillment remains someone else's life, not yours. What keeps people trapped is the illusion of productivity. Watching tutorials, scrolling for tips, and planning endlessly feels like work, but it is work without results. It is effort without creation. The mind becomes addicted to the comfort of observing while avoiding the challenge of producing. And the world reinforces this trap. The digital age has perfected the cycle. Consume, feel inspired, consume again. Rarely do people pause long enough to act. Rarely do they shift from passive admiration to active creation. And in that pause, life passes by. Creators, however, understand a fundamental truth. Action is the currency of freedom. They take the knowledge, the inspiration, the insight they have gained and transform it into something tangible. They build, they innovate, they produce. They take risks, make mistakes, and learn by doing. Every creation, no matter how small, builds momentum, authority, and opportunity. While others watch, creators change their world. While others wait for life to hand them success, creators make it. And in that act of production, they escape the trap that keeps the majority stagnant.